a small amount of work has been completed on the middle fuel tank. It's a bit hard to see, but there's a new clear fuel line from the tank to the pump, and I've added this fitting on top in place of the bolt. So any bubbles into this tank now can escape that down this tube here. Now, this tube would in normal use be connected to the new fitting on the bottom of the tank, but for this test it's going to be left just sitting there. Now also, just for this test, we have a clear fuel container here, just supplying fuel through the hose to the fuel tap, and then up this other hose into that small tank. Now, the beauty of all these clear hoses is you can see my finger obscuring the lens. You can see the fuel flowing. So if we turn this fuel tap on, okay, you can't actually see it flowing, but once the tank fills up, we should see fuel come into this hose here. Now that's because this hose is below the level of the fuel in the tank. That's what I'm hoping anyway. And then we'll be able to turn on the fuel pump and check to make sure that the bubbles come out. Let's just help that on the way by lifting it up a bit. Alright, so there was a bit less fuel in this middle tank than what I was expecting. So the fuel took a bit longer to come from the fuel tank through the lines into the center tank, the middle tank, and out this hose. Now, might not be able to see it, but there's the fuel hose, the breather out of the small tank, and the fuel level is about this, or not about, it is the same. That's just how it is. So leave that up there, and leave it up here. And if I now get the fuel pump going, you'll be able to see the bubbles are generated, and they should appear in this hose. Alright, so the pump is now running. Hopefully it won't make a liar out of me. I'm expecting to see bubbles here eventually. And you can just see this one's just sitting here. So any bubbles should come out of this fitting because it is the highest point in this small tank. Now, it may not work too well with the fuel head only being here, and the actual top of this being here. So currently, the way I've got the hose laid out, the fuel level's up to there. So it's quite a bit of air in that hose. If I just pull this up a bit, now you can see the bit of a mistake. I actually lifted the tank above the outlet of the hose, which of course made fuel flow right out the end of the hose. Funny is, it doesn't seem to be producing much in the way of air bubbles. I've connected the fuel tank, this container, to the fuel tap, which is now turned on so that it is filling up this small tank. Once it gets full, the fuel should come out of this connector down this line, which is going to be the breather for the air bubbles that get into the small tank. This pipe will be connected to the top of the main tank. So as a temporary measure, I've just got it going around and into the container. And it's not actually going to get fuel going through it. It's just a handy place to have it, so that if for some reason fuel does slosh about, it's not going to go all over the floor. It's going to go back into this container. So I'm just waiting for the fuel to get through. I might help it along a bit by giving it a bit of height so it flows more freely. And there we go. So we can see where the fuel level is now in this hose. So that's the same height as the fuel in the tank, in my little tank. So there, it's about here, so you can see it moving up and down, and that's at about the same height as this, which is exactly what you'd expect. So now if I turn the pump on, if what I expect is going to happen, should happen, does happen, we'll see air bubbles coming out of this port here. So the fuel pump's now running. And of course it won't happen because I'm filming it. Oh, there we go. Right, not as many as I thought, but it does show there is some there. They did fly out.